Ladies and gentlemen, I am the microphone messiah, Phillip Antoine. I am joined by Brian Tronick, a former Bulletcast champion, and Brandon Tanguma, another former Bulletcast champion. Hey, yo. How's it going, gentlemen?
Philip, it's going great. March Madness is upon us. I might be gambling at this very moment. So if I seem distracted, if I yell curse words on accident, that might be why. Shout out Longwood.
None of that's happening. Mr. Tronick, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
All right. Very, very sad news took place on Monday. Early in the morning, Kevin Nash announced that Scott Hall would be taken off of life support, and the RIPs started rolling in. Though technically he was still breathing, he was alive for about like 4.5 or 5 hours once he was off life support, but then he passed away. Yeah, we lost the bad guy. This one hurt, man. This one hurt. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall is probably the one wrestler that I have impersonated more than anyone. I can't tell you how many buildings I have walked in and out of doing the surfer walk of Scott Hall. I posted the video from my Chabot days of me, doing the most famous line and throwing a toothpick at the camera. And yeah, man, I'm looking at my giant Razor poster in my room right now. It's just it's crazy, man. It's crazy that the bad guy's gone, because he's from like an era where like all his buddies were still around. You know what I mean? Because like you go to certain meet and greets and there's always like a couple missing from like a certain era because they're no longer with us. Scott's the first one to go from his specific era. So I mean, Tronic, you were growing up with it, man. What are your thoughts on the loss of Razor Ramon?
It's crazy. I mean, you said it just now, like, his whole circle of people are still here. You know what I mean? So, and he was super young, 63. I mean, there's people currently still doing it in the ring at his age. You know what I mean? I mean, Sting being one of them, someone who was also not really in his circle, but comes from that era. So, it was so random, so out of nowhere. And, Scott was someone who made an impact on me personally. I was a huge WCW fan back in the day. So, seeing him come from WWF and coming over and jumping ship and starting the whole hostile takeover thing, I can watch all of that back still to this day and not get tired of it. And it's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
It is. Brandon, you had the opportunity to meet Scott, right, with the NWO?
Yes, I did. I mean, me and you both, we went to StarCast in Las Vegas. I was able to meet him. Obviously it was like a group setting. I didn't like have any like conversations or didn't have anything with him. But I mean, the life and career of Scott Hall, it's like a very interesting one because, he's one of those guys. He was never world champion. He was never like the guy. He was always, kind of upper mid card. He wasn't the greatest wrestler in the world, but he just always had it. He had that like, cool swag factor. And I mean, he just, even though he wasn't like the top guy anywhere he went, he's so influential to everywhere he went. I mean, Razor Ramon, that ladder match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10, the first quote unquote first ladder match. Bret Hart would, differ from that, but fantastic match. He goes over to WCW, and if that never happened, who knows what the world of wrestling would have looked like. No Stone Cold, no Attitude Era. He also had you talked about Sting, who's still wrestling today. He was very influential, and maybe the reason why we have like the Crow Sting, because he saw the Crow movie. He was, said, oh, that'd be a good look for you, Sting, and here we are. So, and obviously, the personal stuff and all that other stuff, in like the 2000s and everything like that. But Scott Hall, influential and just one of the all-time greats, even though he wasn't never, world champion.
We can honestly say Scott Hall is the greatest wrestler to never win the world title. People throw Perfect's name out there. They throw Piper, which is all, all very credible acts. But I think we can honestly say it's Scott Hall. Because, I mean, if you look at it, man, like watch that WCW run, like he lost a lot, but it never affected him. because he could come out there and say, "Hey, yo, it's survey time," and then the crowd they're eating into the palm of his hand, and he did that for months, right, Tronic? That same promo every single time, and it was just great. It was awesome. I mean, I was watching a lot of the the OG vignettes from '92, and just they took it from Scarface, and it made Scarface probably an even more popular movie. Hell, there are people that think that Scarface ripped off a Razor Ramon. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking on Twitter and stuff, and there are people who actually still think he's Latino to this day.
You want to know what else is crazy? Is that he started off doing that stuff, and at first it was a little like, you can tell it wasn't natural, but then it just became natural to him. Like, it was, I mean, that's how he talked. Like, it was almost like he's been talking like that his whole life, which, you can argue and say he kind of was.
Yeah, he would sprinkle Razor in WCW every now and again with the outsiders and stuff like that. But I want to share my story with Razor. When I went to StarCast, I did the single meet and greet. I posted, the tribute and the photo.
Which
it was
is amazing,
cool.
By the way.
Thank you, man. It's just
that's crazy.
This one really hurt, man. Like, I was more nervous to meet Scott Hall than I was to meet Shawn Michaels, and I was. Or not nervous. I guess I was more amped to meet Scott Hall than I was Shawn Michaels, and Shawn's my guy. You know what I'm saying? And I got to tell him, how much he meant to me and in my stuff. And I got to tell my little cousin, like, he's her favorite wrestler. And she's like 8 years old, and he was like, excuse my language. He was like, that's fucking cool. that was dope. That was awesome. And then when we're standing on the ladder, the side I'm standing on, it's starting to go because there were some big boys up on that ladder. There were some big boys up on that ladder, and the rungs are starting to turn and they're starting to go, and I'm like, oh my god. Scott's like, I'm not standing over there, bro. Better you than me. I'm just playing. I'm like, oh my god, this is great. Scott Hall's talking shit to me. This is awesome. And then because Brandon and I, we went to the karaoke thing, the Bill Apter karaoke thing, and then I leave that, and I had met up with some dudes, and we're standing outside of Ron Funch's Get High and Watch Wrestling. And Scott, he's the only person walking down the hallway to us, and you could see, like, he had to kind of hobble around a little bit, all the years on the road and everything in his personal life and stuff like that. But he walked up to us. He's like, "What's going on, fellas? Too sweet at us." And then he went into the room, got a huge ass pop, and I'm like, "Damn, that's awesome, man!" To see just the admiration for the bad guy. It was super cool, man. I'm thankful I got to meet him. Thankful I got to say how much he meant to me and stuff like that. And yeah, man, get a toothpick, everybody. Throw it at somebody's face for the bad guy. Man.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I've done that to people in real life. I'm just shut up. You know what I'm saying? Do we have a favorite Razor match we want to talk about? Match or moment?
I'd say my favorite moment was, and I just said this recently on my Twitter. My favorite moment was when him and Nash had that interaction with Eric Bischoff at Great American Bash '96, and he's like, who are they, man? Who are they? And then Bischoff's like, I can't tell you. I'll tell you tomorrow night on Nitro. He's like, you can't tell us, and then bam, you can't jerk us around. Bam, hits Eric Bischoff right in the gut, and Nash hit him with the jackknife through the stage. That was pretty awesome. It scared me. I think that's why I remember it so much, because at that moment I was like, "Yo, they're really taking over."
Brandon, what about you?
Well, it's kind of the basic answer, but back in the network days, back in the good old days, I kind of went through the the Nitro run, kind of starting with the NWO and Scott Hall's invasion. So I would probably have to say that's my favorite. Him just jumping the barricade, just a random match between like two mid-card guys, and it's just on the screen, and then just you see Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. Well, I guess at the time, Razor Ramon just walk through the ring, or walk through the crowd, and he jumps the guardrail, does the whole promo. You know who I am. You don't know why I'm here, and that just sets in line the NWO, and then the run for WCW, which then retaliates for WWF, for the Attitude Era, and just all that stuff. That means, like, me and Phillip, we weren't around, we didn't watch the Attitude Era during that time, but still, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon has like an impact into our wrestling fandom.
Two impactful runs. Two
Yes.
impactful runs. It's crazy. I mean, obviously the ladder match with Shawn at 10, the one they had in 95 at SummerSlam, that doesn't get talked about enough. And you know, the work he did with Brett in 93 at the King of the Ring, and when he wrestled him for the title, and then like there's a Coliseum video from like a house show somewhere. It's like 92. The first match is like Undertaker and Scott Hall. You know, just a lot of like underrated stuff. And one of my favorite Scott Hall moments, right? I posted on the Bulletcast, him walking out to the Fugees, Ready or Not, at ECW. I'm like, Scott Hall was down, bro.
I got to see him and Nash do that at the Cow Palace as a kid years ago.
So, somebody hit me up and told me about that. How was that, bro?
It was amazing. Like, I was kind of confused because it wasn't the NWO music, and you know, back then I'm young. I don't know what the hell's going on. I got my Hollywood bandana on, my foam spray painted WCW title belt. You know, but to see it now and how impactful that was and still is, it's crazy, you know, knowing that I was there for one of those.
Man, I'm telling you, that is like the most underrated, awesome entrance of all time. Just him strolling out to Ready or Not. I'm like, this guy's really walking out to Lauryn Hill. This is dope.
Nash yesterday posted a video of him and Scott Hall coming out to it in Japan.
Oh, they used to do that in Japan too.
I was like, and Hall is just strutting, like nodding his head, like just going crazy to the music. I was like, wow, man, what a time.
It is. If I ever get an entrance as a commentator, I'm breaking out the Ready or Not. I'll do it, bro. I'll do the walk real quick.
Yo, I can see it.
Anything for the bad guy, man. Like I said on Twitter, man, Scott's going to be sprinkled throughout this episode. You're going to hear sound bites. You're going to hear, you know, I'll clean the table for you, man. Which I said that to my grandma once, and she was not happy. She was like, "You clean the table, man? I'll clean the table for you, man." Jack of all trades, R.I.P. Scott Hall. No one could have played Razor better. Oh, we know he's kicking out of everyone's finish in heaven. Rest well, bad guy. That was beautiful. Hootie Hoo 420.
Hootie Hoo.
I've thrown toothpicks at people just like Scott Hall. It's quite fun. Rest in peace, Mr. Hall. Your hard work paid off. You made your dream come true. Your bad times didn't last. The bad guy was too sweet. Yes. Thank you. Dan. Everything about Razor Ramon was magnificent. The music, the accent, the gear, the vignettes, literally everything. And when he jumped ship to WCW, I like so many thought that he invaded their company. I thought it was real. NWO was a formidable part of my youth. Thank you, Razor. Survey says the bad guy is going over, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's a great email. It was really powerful. All right, I know. In Brightest Day X,
Mr. X.
he had something to say. So let's see that.
Sorry, Mr. X, about all your Reds acquisitions and trades and everything. You know, it's okay. We'll get through it together. The A's and the Reds will get it through it together because it's been a rough time for us.
He says, I don't know what else I can say about the legend that is Scott Hall. He was a big part of my journey as a wrestling fan growing up. First seeing him as Razor, making being a bad guy so cool, to see him as one of the catalysts of the most exciting time in pro wrestling history with the NWO. He did so much for the business, and I wish the business could have been kinder to him as far as accolades go. Yes, he stumbled and fell and refused to go down the way that way, and came back even more influential than before. To hear all the stories of the current generation of wrestlers on the advice and kindness he bestowed upon them speaks volumes about his character. He left us far too soon, but he sure as hell left his mark on the industry. Those who performed and still perform in the ring and the hearts and minds of fans all over the world. R.I.P. Chico. We'll see you down the road. That was beautiful. This is great stuff. R.I.P. Scott Hall. Thank you for the memories. Razor Ramon, hard work pays off, dreams come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do.